who's got an update on the Tony Ferguson weigh-in situation, which is going to be going down in a matter of minutes, definitely within a matter of hours? So, to remind you guys where this left off, when 249 gets canceled, Tony challenges Justin publicly, or at least questions Justin publicly, to know if Justin's going to make weight, which was Tony's way of letting the world in on the fact that he is still going to make weight. So then Tony does an expanded interview. He put that out on social media, so he's got, 160 characters or less. So somebody calls him up and goes, hey, what's this all about? You making weight? And Tony elaborated. He said, yeah, this is all mental. This is a mental thing for me. I'm personalized it, but I'm going through with the task. I am seeing through my part, which was really cool. But the reason I'm asking if anybody has an update is because when Tony made those statements, it was absent of the knowledge that he later gained and has at this present time that fight is going to happen. It's just going to happen on May 9th. So I am sincerely asking, is he still planning to make weight just to have to make weight 2 weeks later? And in Tony's defense, just because he said he would do something, if he did not have the extra information that he has now, which is, hey, you're going to have to do this thing, same thing on May 9th. You promised a weigh-in, you're still going to give a weigh-in, which is moving the date of the weigh-in. Tony would definitely be off the hook, but it does, I'm still curious if he's going to do it, because it has two schools of thought. Which actually brings me to another question, as opposed to me offering my opinion on the conclusion. Here's the question. Are you better to make weight 2 weeks prior to having to make weight? I mean, if you had the ability of a fighter, particularly in the era that we're in right now of how many fighters are having a hard time getting down to weight, are you better to have what would be called a test cut? When George St-Pierre thought about going down to 155 pounds before he ever made this public, he did a test cut. Now, George likes to live his life in a level of discipline that is very hard to relate to. On the 1st of every month through the 5th of every month, he consumes nothing but water. He does a water diet 5 days every month just because. I can remember back to a teammate of mine, the late, great Evan Tanner. And Evan Tanner was fighting at 205 pounds and then had this big idea to go down to 185. Turned out the idea worked out because he became the champion of the world, but he was going through a test cut. And he was going to do this in one weekend. He was going to spend from Friday night to Sunday night pulling water out of his body and seeing how he would feel. He then even had a mathematical conversion. Even though he might not make 185 on the test cut, he could find out how much he could lose in water, and that would tell him how much he needed to lose in mass to then equate to 185, and then he wanted to judge how he felt. So on Sunday night when he completes the test cut, I have to go in and fight him. We're sparring, 3 rounds, make it look like a fight, on Monday, because he really wanted to know, first off, can I do it? What's it going to take to do it? How quickly can I do it? And can I perform within 24 hours? Now, I can't really relate to that. To me, that was more of just something he wanted to learn, more of an experiment. That's as far as my mind can even conceive that. To go and pull water out and dehydrate for no reason other than experimental reason. You know what? I'll just take the risk. I'm speaking for old Chael. I'll just take the risk. I don't know how I'm going to feel on Saturday when the match comes around. I'll let you know on Sunday how it worked out and maybe make some changes for the next one. I'm not doing one just because. But there's still a question here. Let's just say Tony does it. Let's just say he does. And guys, unless you have clarity out there, you have to admit for me, there's a 50% chance he does. Just because he's Tony. So let's say he does. Does that give him an advantage? To be down to weight, spend 4 or 5 days, relax maybe just a little bit, keep your eye on it, know you're within striking distance, but remove that stress, at least a big part of that stress. You would remove that stress. I will tell you right now, there is a major what if that goes through your mind. On all sorts of levels, and your body can play some very weird tricks. I mean, I'm telling you, to cut weight is a totally another thing. If you don't have to cut weight, I don't know of anyone who ever has. Do you? Using yourself even as a guinea pig in this. Have you ever cut weight if you didn't have to? Now, I'm not talking about losing weight. I'm not talking about dieting. I'm not talking about consuming less calories than you burn. What I'm talking about is cutting weight, and that's where the dehydration part comes in. That's where the suffering comes in. Losing weight physically is not hard. Fasting physically is not hard. Mentally, it's very difficult. But if you want to fast, I mean, you can sit on your butt and do it. You can watch TV. You can lay in bed all day. Just don't eat anything, right? I mean, physically, it's not that hard. But mentally, you will ask yourself as an athlete all the time, can I do this? What's it going to take to do this? And then your body, as you start to learn your body, will do very bizarre things. And a human being, in my belief, does not have control of their body until they're 25 years old. You can grow inches, you can gain weight, then you deal with water retention that comes by something as easy as getting on a flight. If the flight is too long and you're at certain elevations and you've got retention, then you land, now you got 3 days to get rid of the retention, plus everything. I'm just offering for you, there's a lot of moving parts, and I would like an answer to the question. It's going to be opinion-based, because I don't know that any of us are ever going to do it, but opinion-based. Would Tony have an advantage, or any other athlete, would they have an advantage by making weight 2 weeks in advance?